I have some super cute 4th of July accent pieces. One of them is, you know, the little toy, it starts with a J and I cannot think of the name. Has the little wood pieces. Okay. I took those and lined them up into 3 sections and glued them together. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rows across. 3 rows across, I'm sorry, 5 rows down, right? And then I painted every other one. I may have painted them before I glued them together, I'm not sure. And then I did this, a section, one of the sections of the 3 across, I painted in blue. And I don't know if you remember the children's toys that are wood puzzles. That's one of the stars from those wood pieces. Okay, now you have a seam here when you put it together. There's another seam here, but it doesn't show because you've started a new color. What I did was I took some twine and wrapped it around several times and made it like a little country bow. I love this. I think it's just adorable. Okay, next thing I did was I took one of those blocks that say have a happy day or something like that, and just painted blue and a few little white pieces, and then I took a couple of those and painted them red and white, put them on top, and did the same thing. I just like the twine, so I wrapped the twine around it, and to keep it in place. I didn't glue them. I thought it was kind of neat for them to be loose. Now I found out today that if I take this star and put it in paint, I can actually use it for a stamp. So I stamped a couple of little stars on there, and they look like folk art. Now, I like dynamite, so you know these rolling pins, they are the perfect size for dynamite. And this one I just painted red, blue, used some painter's tape to section off so I could get the lines better. Now this one I'm painting red like dynamite, old dynamite color, and I used some red and then I just mixed a little black with it. The red is American satin. It's called Red Byron, but I also have a red for 50 cents I got from Walmart that's called Apple Red, and it would be too bright for what I'm trying to do. I like the aged look, so you just mix a little black with it and be very sparingly, do it sparingly so you don't, it's easy to get too much in. And then I just painted it, and I accidentally got some black in one of the spots and I liked it, so I went back and added a little bit of black. I think it looks a lot older that way, a lot more aged, okay? And it looks like dynamite. Now, the next thing I did was I thought, hey, that star might be cool on here, so I should have used that brush instead of putting it in there. So I just I'm putting blue on here on this star, if you have one of those toys. If not, you could probably make a stamp with some core board or something. And you're going to have to kind of roll it because these rolling pins are rounded. But I love it. It looks neat. It doesn't look definite, but I don't think that's necessary. Now I accidentally did black instead of blue, but that will be okay. I'll put a black star on here too. Just be gentle. See? Nothing to it. Now, something else I found out that I thought was cute is Red Cross. I've seen some dynamites, and when I was doing research in vintage, and it had Red Cross on it. I don't know why, but then I got these alphabets. And I had a D out that I can't see right now, so I'll just use a T, like TNT. And okay, that's the front, and it's rough, which might be okay. But for the letter to look right, you're going to have to use the smooth side, and I'm going to do the same thing again. This is kind of a black and blue. And I'll just press it toward the middle, and I'll put a T and T. There's my T. And after I get done with all of these, I'm doing another DIY for you, but I'm using a shutter, and there was this wood piece on the side. I thought, hey, I measured it out, and I know they have wood pieces about almost half this size at the Dollar Tree, but by cutting this 4 times with my jigsaw, I can make a little old-fashioned dynamite box. There's enough to do 2 sides and a little more, and it will be small, but I can stack them, which that way they'll show too. I thought that might be cute, a little dynamite box. Alright, so that's the little accent pieces. Now, one more thing. I love this. And it's just some of the twine. And if you want it thicker, I've seen some on the internet that I really like. They used the thicker ones like this, you know, the thick rope they sell, and took it apart. And then if you see, that's supposed to be like the fire. And if you use a little nail like this with a little head on it, you don't have to mess with the glue, and I think it stays in there better. So, or you could use the several pieces of the twine if you want to do that. It could hang down the side. You know, you can get really creative with this. Okay. Okay, for the next DIY, I'm taking an old shutter. I have several, and I have been hanging on to these for a while and thinking of different ways to use them, and I think this is a great time to use these. Now, this one was natural, and I put a little bit of white primer on it, not much. And what I'm going to do is start at the bottom and paint every other one white. So it'll be white and red. I'm looking at over there because I have one that I finished, but it's larger. And this is going to be a distressed look, so you don't have to get it perfect. Also, I went around the edges in white because I liked it framed out that way. But that's, you know, you could use it, the blue or the red. Okay. And I'm going to do just a section here. See, I'm getting that side too. Because when you if you hang it up, which is probably what most people would do, you could even use this for a shelf. The sides will show, so you want to be sure and get those painted. I've done a lot of projects and I forgot to paint the side of things. I'm in my RV. It's a vintage RV, and it's in my yard. I'm not camping out at this moment, but you can hear the traffic. The house that we bought is actually zoned commercial. We didn't know it, which is good and bad. So here we go, every other one. Now, when I get up to the top, I'm going to let this dry, and then I will come back and give it another coat, a little more. Don't want it real heavy. All right, so at the top, I'm going to do the entire top, probably, let me see how many inches, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I came down about this far, I think. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. About, not halfway, but about here. And it depends on your shutter. So you want the top to resemble the area of the flag that has stars. So I think that would just be how you would perceive that. And that, the top part, I'm going to paint all this navy, and again, I'm painting the side and this section white. So the flag would be within here. Okay? I hope that is as clear as mud. I have one here, a larger one, and it's been distressed, and it's not exactly the way I wanted it to look, but this one will be. You know, sometimes you have to experiment, practice. So I'm coming all around this like a border, and I shouldn't have got navy there, so I'll have to go over that. All the edges, look, framing it out in white, and then red and white at the bottom, and then about, I guess here, I'll make that part for the stars. Now, I've let this dry. I've given it a couple of coats, and how many coats you give it depends on the quality of paint that you use, of course. Now, after it's dried, I'll take some brown paint. This is some chestnut, no, nutmeg brown, but it really doesn't matter what color, whatever you like or whatever you have. And I mix some water with it, water it down. You want it pretty watery. And then I'll start brushing over each slat. It looks nicer if you go this, you know, across to that, each slat. Okay. Now, when you're doing this distressed look, it's also good to do sections at a time, because the longer they set, the darker they get, and you don't want them too dark. You don't want them brown, you just want them distressed. So you want to go little sections at a time, okay? Some people like to use brown. This is basically what they used to call antiquing, but you're using paint instead of stain. I found on most crafts, paint works just as well, and it will soak into wood just like stain. And I've been redoing furniture for many years, and I actually just learned this from watching DIYs, Dollar Tree DIYs, and other DIYs that people make. If you haven't subscribed, please do. I've been working on crafts and decorating, a lot of theme decorating for many years, and now I'm just breaking it down into little projects that I can share with others. I used to do store windows, display dress mannequins, and build themes, and I love that job. That was my favorite. So this is kind of like that, building themes in my vintage trailer and doing the Dollar Tree crafts. And I do also trash to treasure things, and you know, things people give me, thrift stores, you know, secondhand stores. And it's a real challenge to find something or get something that someone wants to get rid of and turn it into something else. And then you'll turn around, of course, and same thing. Don't forget the sides. This is from Mica Table, and I've thought about changing it because it's not my favorite as far as the way it looks. But it is great for this because you can use comment on it, you can clean paint from it. You know, it's great for doing crafts and decor. And if I had something new, I would have to be much more careful and cover it. It takes a lot more time. So, if you're wondering why I'm using the table, that's why. You can't beat the old Formica. It can take a lot of abuse, too. Right? Okay, now, another thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put this decoration on it, but I want it to look distressed like this. And this says, God Bless America. So I'm taking a few of these and I will do the same thing. Cover it with brown or black. I might have to use black because it's metal and it's not taking the watered down brown. Now after all this dries, then I'll sand it. And also my dynamite, I'll sand that too. I don't see my black. There it is. Yeah, I think it needs a little black, but I wouldn't want black on this. I really think the distressed brown is the best choice. And if you get too much on it, you don't like it, just take some water like that. I left it on a little too long talking. I'll just go back and wipe it down. So I'll put black on this and I'll let it set for a few minutes. And after it's dried a little bit, then I will wipe it off with a dry cloth just to give it, to make it look older, distressed. And then after that, I will sand it like I did this, the edges, and this. And that is a really unique look. I love it, but it'll take a minute for this to dry. Okay, down to the last step. If you haven't checked out my video, there's a pocket here on the patriotic or country. I think they're going to start using farmhouse. I'm predicting they'll start using a lot of this red, white, and blue, because after something is popular for a long time, a certain style, a certain color, it changes. And, you know, it's good for our economy. If everybody had avocado green refrigerators, we wouldn't be moving like we are along. It's part of commerce. Okay, so here's the sanded star. And, you know, it's real simple. Just, I use a pretty rough sandpaper and get the edges, because that's where it would be a natural distressed spot. Now, probably cut this part off to put it at the top. I don't know, but I think I will. And then I'm going to do a little, the blue will really show if you sand it because it's darker. Anything dark, the distressed part shows up more. So now you can see they're just so much more interesting now that they're sanded than they were. Okay, and now we have one of the dynamite sticks. And I also painted a white stripe, pure white, and then I did the antiquing with the paint, the brown paint again. So I'm sanding. Look how neat that looks. This reminds me of the campfire color combination. Now, if I want, like the end, I would like it really distressed, so I'm going to go with a stronger sandpaper. This is rough. This is, I don't, the grade's not on it. I didn't cut it in a place where you can see the grade, but it's very rough. And I want the top to really look worn. I guess like old dynamite. Good look. It's almost an early American look, I think. But the early American and the 70s, you know, the hippie movement with all the blue jeans and all that, really coming back. A couple years ago, I started seeing some of those things like blue jeans with things printed on them and appliques, and I told my sister, that's going to come back, but it kind of died out a little bit. I don't think it caught on, I should say, but I think it's starting to catch on again in a very strong way. There's a couple brands I noticed in the mall that they do a lot of jean things, and well, they call it bohemian, but we called it hippie. Blue jeans with patches and blue jeans with flags, and so here again, I think it looks nice if you start at the edge, maybe, because, you know, naturally in time, when things get knocked around, or, you know, they'll hit on the edge a lot, so that looks more realistic. And also coming down straight in some areas with your distressed look. If this leaned against something in a garage for many years, there might be a straight line of distressed points on it. And this is just, you know, personal taste. And another thing I do that I really like, another technique, after I do all this, sometimes I will come back then with a whitewash, because I like country French, and country French is, the way I see it, a lot of very light, relaxing, airy colors. So this will take me a little while to do this, but you have the general idea now. And this is a neater paint job than the one I did a couple days ago. I did this one, and I did I might call it sloppy, but it's just a different look. Some people have seen it and love it, but I really wanted to try a more structured look, a more refined look, I guess you might say. But you can imagine now if I put a very light whitewash across it, what it would look like. So that's, if you have any questions, please subscribe. I've been doing this for a while, but not the DIYs. I had videos on for singing. I sing, and also I decorate houses some. I've refinished furniture, cabinets, things like that. And those videos are on there. But this is more little projects that a person can do, and decorating a smaller space too. So I would appreciate it if you would subscribe to my channel and hit the notification button, because I will be doing a lot of neat things. I was going to open a store, so I have quite a collection of many types of decorating pieces. This isn't even something I've ever decorated with. I have a lot of vintage dishes, and in lieu of a store, I'm doing this, and I will be able to use those pieces with my DIYs that I do, and also maybe give you some tips on how to decorate around certain themes. That's my thing, I guess, theme painting, theme decorating. So if you do have any questions, a lot of people on Facebook ask me questions, people that know me, that know I've been doing this kind of thing for a long time. And I really have a passion for it. It's not just a way to pass time. I love this. I have to make myself stop doing this to do other things. So push that button, subscribe, ask for a notification. And thank you. Happy 4th of July.